Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir Shri Shri Nidai Gauranga Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Gaur Bhakti. Welcome everyone for the Science of Self-Realization session. This is every week Sunday session morning, which is happening since almost 4 months, 4 to 5 months, right? This is the book we are discussing. This is called Science of Self-Realization, which is a compilation of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, his essays, his conversations with prominent people across the globe. And also, this is a wonderful compilation of teachings of Prabhupada to give a systematic understanding for our spiritual journey going forward. So far, we have discussed 4 major topics from this book. We are in the 5th topic called Practicing Yoga in the Age of Quarrel. The present age, Kali Yuga, is called Age of Quarrel. So we are in the subtopic called Chanting Hare Krishna Mantra. So today, we're going to cover this topic, this subtopic, and try to understand what does it mean by chanting Hare Krishna. Right? This is the topic, Chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Let us move forward. So the inspiration for this whole presentation is our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, who is the worldwide Hare Krishna movement's founder. And he, within a short span of 11 years, traveled across the globe and established more than 100 Krishna temples. And he has given volumes of books on Vedic literatures for us to understand. Okay. This is a quote from Prabhupada in 1977 in Vrindavan. He says, "Chant Hare Krishna and everything will be clear. The more you chant, the spiritual life will be revealed. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I started this movement simply by chanting." Right? This is the quote which Prabhupada is making. And he has so much of confidence in the chanting that simply by chanting, this movement was started. You just recollect. I had mentioned this earlier also. Prabhupada went to the Western countries, especially America, on the order of his spiritual master. This order he received when he was young, when he was 25 years old. He got this order, and the order was that he has to spread this message of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata among the English-speaking people. Right? So Prabhupada was preparing himself to spread this knowledge to the English-speaking people, and by the will of Providence, he happened to go to America after he took sannyasa at the age of 70 years. And in a very humble way, he started in America with no resources, no support from anybody. He was just chanting Hare Krishna mantra in a park under a tree. That's how the movement started. So Prabhupada is recalling this great miracle, what happened. With chanting Hare Krishna mantra, he established the great movement. Right? So this is the inspirational quote for us, that you chant everything, you chant Hare Krishna and everything will be clear for us slowly. So today's presentation is to give us a wonderful understanding of what is actually Hare Krishna Mahamantra, why should we chant, and what is the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna Mantra. Because our mind functions in a way that we would like to know the significance of what we are doing. Generally, the materialistic mind functions in a way that we don't want to do anything which is not going to help me or benefit me in whatever way possible. Our mind works in a way that we want some fruits, some results from it. So we try to understand the Hare Krishna Mantra, the main pillar of the whole Hare Krishna movement or ISKCON movement. What is Hare Krishna Mantra and what are the various glories and the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna Mantra in this presentation today. So Hare Krishna Mantra, Mahamantra it is called. Right? So what does it mean? Mantra basically means any vibration which can deliver your mind. The mind is supposed to be the cause of our bondage, and mind is also the cause of our liberation. So the Bhagavad Gita very clearly explains to us that through your mind, you can liberate yourself from this cycle of birth and death, or you can continue existence in the material world by taking different bodies. So the choice is left to us. The mind as an instrument can be used for liberating ourselves or being conditioned in the material world and continue our material existence. So this specific combination of the sound called Hare Krishna Mahamantra is considered as the mantra for the deliverance, the great mantra for deliverance. Mahamantra it is called. The great mantra for deliverance from what? From this material world, from this cycle of birth and death. Because all of us want happiness, all of us want peace, all of us want complete liberation from this material suffering. And we are all endeavoring, our every activity is directed towards this particular aspect. And I want peace, happiness, comfort. But we are vainly searching for all of these and ending up with frustration and disappointment. We'll understand this how it is as we move forward. But the method given in the scriptures, the method recommended by the teachers of spiritual wisdom is that we have to adopt this process of chanting or vibrating Hare Krishna Mantra. That's why it is known as the great mantra for deliverance. Simply if you chant Hare Krishna Mantra every day, you are liberated for the day. And you continue doing this throughout your life, Lord Krishna assures that He will pick us up from this material world and He will deliver us. That is the potency of this chanting of Hare Krishna Mantra. So this is the Maha Mantra or the great chanting for deliverance. And this is the transcendental vibration for reviving our original pure consciousness. What it is, what is original consciousness, what is pure consciousness, we'll understand a little later in our presentation. But for time being, let us understand our consciousness right now is polluted, is contaminated. So this consciousness needs some purification. So when you chant Hare Krishna Mantra, our polluted consciousness becomes purified and we get delivered. This is the benefit of chanting Hare Krishna Mantra. So this is the great chanting for deliverance. It is the mantra for reviving our original consciousness. Just like if you are having fever, you are in an abnormal condition. So you would like to take the necessary medication to revive your normal healthy state. Likewise, right now our consciousness is called contaminated consciousness because it is filled with so many thought processes for entangling ourselves in the material. So when our consciousness is purified, purified means when there is no influence of the different material modes of nature, that is called purified consciousness. Then our original consciousness is awakened. What it is and how it is, we'll understand little later. So this Hare Krishna mantra has 3 names of Lord. Hare, Krishna and Rama. These are the transcendental seeds of the Mahamantra, called Hare Krishna Mantra. And the chanting of this Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a sublime method for reviving our transcendental consciousness. We just now discussed about reviving our original pure consciousness. Our original pure consciousness is called Transcendental Consciousness. So reviving that original pure consciousness, the only method recommended for Kali Yuga is chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. Right? How it is, why it is, we'll understand as we move forward in the presentation. Now, the next question is, what is transcendental consciousness? First of all, let us understand what is consciousness. Consciousness is a state of awareness. Right? Say, in your body, you are aware of the different pains and pleasures you experience. There's a statement in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, that which is all pervading throughout the body is the energy of the soul. And this energy of the soul is called consciousness. This we have discussed in one of our previous sessions. So this consciousness means you are conscious or aware of different happenings in this body, this existence. Then what is transcendental consciousness? Transcendental consciousness is the pure consciousness of the soul. There's a nice statement in the Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter, wherein Lord Krishna mentions, Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhutaha sanatanaha manaha shashthanindriyani prakritisthani karshati. So what does it mean? The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. So this verse gives us a wonderful hint with regard to what is our identity. Right? All of us would like to know what is our source. It's like when I ask anybody, when I meet somebody, oh, you belong to this place. Who is your father? Who is your mother? What is your family? So mostly we'll be interested to know these things. Originally, as spirit souls, where do we belong to? It's a very important question. So for this, Bhagavad Gita is giving us the answer. Originally, we are fragmental part and parcel. Means we are very intimately connected with Lord Krishna. Krishna says, Mamaivamsha, my fragmental part and parcel. Which means we are very closely connected with Lord Krishna eternally, sanatana. Just like our different bodily parts, like hands, legs, eyes, nose, different bodily parts are connected with unit of body. And all these parts are meant to serve the body. Likewise, we as fragmental part and parcels are very intimately connected with Krishna and eternally connected. Right now, this connection has been forgotten. So, because we are connected to Krishna, the consciousness we are having as part and parcel of Krishna is the same consciousness which Krishna is having, Lord Krishna is having. That's why it's called Transcendental Consciousness. Right? So that is the original consciousness we are having. But that Transcendental Consciousness of the soul is right now covered. Why it is covered, how to revive it is what we're going to discuss in the presentation as we move forward. So it is mentioned by the scriptures that Krishna consciousness or the transcendental consciousness of the spirit soul is not an artificial imposition on the mind. It's like when you're talking about transcendental consciousness, it is not that right now we don't have and we have to acquire it. No. Krishna consciousness or transcendental consciousness is already naturally there in us. Just like having a healthy life is natural for us. Becoming becoming sick or having fever is an abnormal state. Likewise, having our original consciousness is Krishna consciousness. Right now it is covered. A very nice example is given. Just like a child, when it is born, already the child has the innate ability of walking. Just that at an appropriate time, appropriate age, the child starts walking. Right? So likewise, our consciousness is actually Krishna consciousness or transcendental consciousness. The spirit soul's energy, what is emanating is Krishna consciousness. Just like the sun is emanating sunlight, sunshine. So the soul within us is emanating the original consciousness called transcendental consciousness. Why? Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. We belong to Krishna. Right? So this is not an artificial imposition of the mind. Means it's not that we have to develop this or we need to somehow bring in this consciousness in our mind. No. It is naturally there. The whole process of Bhakti Yoga or chanting Hare Krishna Mantra is to revive this consciousness. He said, Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti Sadhya Kabulai. Krishna Bhakti or Krishna consciousness or transcendental consciousness is natural to our existence, but that is being covered now or forgotten now. That has to be revived. That is the whole process. Next. This consciousness is the original natural energy of the living entity. The transcendental consciousness or Krishna consciousness is the original natural energy of all of us. And when we hear the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna, this consciousness gets revived. That is the process. That is the way we revive our consciousness. It's like telling one person met with a serious head injury. He has forgotten about his whole family. His own family, his parents, his brothers, his relatives. He's not able to recognize them. What does the psychiatrist do? A doctor, psychiatrist, he will try to remind or bring in that memory, revival of the memory of the patient slowly. Oh, this is your father, this is your friend. You had this talk with him. So likewise, our original memory or original consciousness of existence with Krishna is revived by chanting Hare Krishna. So transcendental consciousness means our original consciousness, our natural consciousness, which is right now forgotten or it is covered. Okay. The simplest method recommended for this age of Kali is the mantra meditation. Chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is going to revive our original consciousness, transcendental consciousness. Why? Because the living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally, which we just discussed now. And as living spirit souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. But due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now adulterated by the material atmosphere. It's an important statement. Let us understand this for some time. So, the consciousness of all of us is transcendental consciousness, Krishna consciousness. But why it is covered? It's because we have been conditioned by the material atmosphere, the material world. The Atma has been influenced by material atmosphere, and because of which the Atma, the spirit soul, has forgotten or lost his original consciousness. That is what has happened to us right now. So it has become adulterated or contaminated. Our consciousness right now is contaminated. It's like telling a source of white light is being emanating from a big halogen lamp. Say in front of the lamp, you have a colored paper. The halogen lamp is emitting white light. Whereas when it is going, the light is going through some colored paper. say if it is through a green colored paper, the light will come out as green light. But actually original light is what? White light. Likewise, our original consciousness of the spirit soul is Transcendental Consciousness or Krishna Consciousness, because the body, what we are having, material mind, material intelligence, material way of functioning, has colored our consciousness. So we are thinking in a different way. Our original consciousness is supposed to think, I am spirit soul. But right now, the contaminated consciousness or the material consciousness is thinking, I am not spirit soul, I am this body. Whichever body it takes, it thinks in that way. Oh, I am this body and my bodily connections are mine. This is my children, this is my parents, this is my wife, this is my husband, these are my friends, this is my society. This consciousness is called contaminated consciousness. So somebody may ask, why is it wrong? I'm born there. Yes, you are born there this life. Where were you in your previous life? And what is going to happen to you next life, you also don't. So for time being, circumstantially, you start identifying with a situation and start telling, I am so and so. That is called contaminated consciousness. That is called false ego. False identification with things around you. Right? So further, you'll understand what is this contaminated consciousness in a detailed manner. Before that, let us see one more quote of Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, due to our material bondage, the covering of the material senses, we cannot understand what is spiritual. But this ignorance can be removed with the process of chanting Hare Krishna. Again, one more wonderful revelation Srila Prabhupada is giving us. Right now, our spirit soul is covered by this material body. Material body means material senses, material mind, material intelligence. Right? The spirit soul is given a complete structure outside, wherein the spirit soul is sleeping and the consciousness of the spirit soul is only, it is emanating, because soul is always emanating consciousness. But that consciousness is coming out through this material body and it is become material consciousness or contaminated consciousness. So that is our situation right now. But this consciousness can be revived, awakened. When the spirit soul is again awakened, then, oh, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. So even in this body, you start functioning like a spiritual person. So let us move forward. So what is this contaminated consciousness? For this to understand, we have to understand what is Maya or illusion. So what is Maya or illusion? The material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya or illusion. The material body we are having, the world around us, and the different entities having different material bodies, this is called illusory world or Maya world. So what does word Maya mean? Maya means that which is not. That which is not. It is like telling, when you go to watch a movie or you're watching a film, the television or theater, you forget yourself. You start identifying with the characters in that movie. You take up the role of say one of the characters in the movie. You identify with the character of the movie. That's what has happened now. I, as spirit soul, we have forgotten our identity as spirit soul, and I'm identifying with so many other aspects in the material world, which is circumstantial, which is situational. This requires some thinking, thought process. So Maya means that which is not. I am not this body. I am not any of the circumstances in the material world, but I'm identifying with those circumstances and situations and thinking that I am so and so. This is called Maya. Maya means what is not factual. Illusion means something else I am identifying with, which I am not. That is called illusory situation. Okay. So we are in this illusory situation. One of the important defects all of us have now is that we are considering something else to be something else. That is the present situation of our existence. So what is the main problem is being mentioned, that illusion is that we are all trying to be lords of material nature, Well, actually, we are under the grip of her stringent laws. Okay? Very nice example is given. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the master, say for example, in a organization, the boss is having an office and he's functioning from that office. The servant who is just taking care of the office, keep the things clean and neat and seeing that other small works are being taken care. One day he thinks, oh, my master is not there here today. Let me sit in the chair of the master and I become the master today. It's just an imitation. Just by sitting on the chair and trying to imitate, he doesn't become master. Likewise, actually, this whole material world is being governed, conducted, directed, and controlled by Lord Krishna. This has been very clearly, emphatically mentioned by Lord Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says, Maya dhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. The whole material world is being conducted by me under my supervision. Everything is happening. In fact, the whole Bhagavad Gita's knowledge is to give us an understanding that anything what is happening in the material world, all the various activities, what is going on in the material world, is under the direct control of Krishna through his various agencies. Everything is managed and manipulated by Lord Krishna. So if you are under the false impression that I am controlling this material world, then we are under illusion, Maya. So the illusory world in which we are thinking that I am the master is what is the problem. Everybody thinks like this. Everybody thinks that I am the master of the situation. I can control things. I can manipulate things. I can do this. I can do that. I have great strength. I have great intelligence. But all your strength, intelligence, power, abilities will be nothing when Lord Krishna withdraws the energy from you. The spirit soul is out of the body and you get one more body, then that body is dead and gone. Krishna says, I am death. When death comes, everything is finished. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. When death comes, death takes away everything with you, your energy, abilities, intelligence, everything. This is a harsh reality of life. The same person who was going around telling, I am great, I am strong, I am big, I am powerful, will be nothing. When the time comes, time for his giving up this body comes, he's nothing. We have historical records of great, big people who wanted to win over, boss over this material world, who wanted to dominate on this material world. But what has happened? They're only in the pages of history. Oh, this big person by name Ravana was there, who wanted to build a staircase to heaven. And he wanted to take everybody, all his residents of Lanka, to heaven. There was one big demon by name Hiranyakashipu, who wanted to become immortal. Right? So like this, there are efforts from everybody to lord over this material. Lording over means, I want to be controller. I want to be the master of this world. I want to be the proprietor of these various properties. I want to control as many people as possible. I want to enjoy this material world maximum extent. And I also want to be a well-wisher of everybody. Like this, these thoughts are called lording tendency. This is exactly what all of us have, this type of mentality right now. This is called material consciousness. Okay? So our original consciousness is what? I am not the master. I am not the proprietor. I am not the well-wisher. Lord Krishna is the master. Lord Krishna is the enjoyer. Lord Krishna is the proprietor. Okay? So this consciousness is the right consciousness. So when you think otherwise, that is called, that which is not, you start thinking, that is called Maya or illusion or material consciousness. So this is our situation right now. So we're trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we're becoming more and more entangled in our complexities. Now, if you carefully analyze, what are we doing right now? Everybody in the material world, all of us are trying to maximize our comforts in life. I want to enjoy life to the maximum extent. I want to get the greatest amount of enjoyment in life. So for which we are trying to exploit the resources of nature without even acknowledging where from these resources are coming. Who is the master of these resources? No acknowledgement. Right? So we just want to take the resources and want to exploit. And the result is, we are seeing presently, there is global warming. There's so much of problem with the natural resources, big shortage going forward. Right? So many issues at the global level. The United Nations has been, becoming very much conscious of this, and they're running campaigns after campaigns to create awareness amongst people. How the world can be sustainable going forward. They have made sustainable development goals announced throughout the world that everybody should follow this. How we can protect this natural resource called water, air, earth. How there can be gender equality. So in the mood of exploiting things, man in the modern day is just going rampaging everything. That is what is happening presently. So we're trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but we don't know we are getting entangled in our own complexities. So much so that it's so difficult to come out. I'll just give a simple example. The example what Prabhupada gives us. Because we wanted to have the comfort of going in a vehicle, transport. So we have to manufacture that vehicle or that instrument, car or two-wheeler, for which a big establishment is required. And once the car or the instrument, the vehicle is manufactured, then there's a fuel required for it, for which one more big establishment of how to get the fuel, to get from some ocean reserves, and pipeline for that, and a ministry for that. And after that, to have that vehicle movement on the road in a proper smooth way, we need to have proper highways, roads created, and to maintain that, one more ministry. And to see that the people on the road are all following the rules, regulations, we need to have a proper system of law and order, for which there is a traffic police. So like this, you see, for the comfort of movement from one place to another, what all complexities we have made. And from this, the complexity of, say, pollution, which is unavoidable, is part of it as a byproduct. And the road accidents also is a part of it as a byproduct. Nobody can assure that, oh, you are on a safe road, you're on a royal road, this very safest road, no accidents will happen. But we have seen, even on the safest road, there are accidents, fatal accidents. So like this, we think we have created systems and many gorgeous arrangements we have done to have a comfortable life. But eventually, we are seeing we are entangled in our own creations, and we are in a complex way entangled here. This is our situation. So this requires again some thought process to assimilate this particular point. What I'm telling now, we are trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled in our complexities. This is the way illusory world is making us entangled in this world. Therefore, although we are engaged in a hard struggle to conquer nature, we are ever more dependent on her. Mostly when we talk that, oh, we have done this, we are going to do this, we are going to discover this, we are going to invent this. But anything we do, we have to understand, before material nature, we are always subordinate. The recent pandemic is a great example. We had all the facilities, all the up-to-date discoveries, the best of the medicine, best of the doctors, best of the arrangements, but everything failed. And it has happened, and it will happen repeatedly. That is how material nature is. It is a statement of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita that material nature with the stringent laws is very difficult to overcome. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratya. We cannot simply win over the stringent laws of nature. We are always dependent. We always have to go down. That is our position. So this is the reality of life. We are trying to lord over, boss over, exploit, manipulate, and squeeze out happiness. But whatever we do, we are entangled so much, and we are completely subordinate to the laws of nature. This is the reality of life. So illusory struggle against material nature can be stopped at once by revival of our eternal Krishna consciousness. It's exactly Lord Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. The material nature is Krishna's nature, not easy to overcome. Her stringent laws are so strict that she's keeping all of us under her clutches. The only way out, Krishna says, you surrender to me. Surrendering process is very simple in this age of Kali. Just chant Hare Krishna Mantra. That is as good as you are surrendering to Krishna. And by this, what happens? Your original consciousness is revived. Then you understand, what am I doing? Why am I struggling like this here? Let me do what is minimum required to maintain my body and soul together, and let me move forward in my spiritual life. This is the realization which dawns upon a person when he starts reviving his original consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Okay, so this is the meaning of material consciousness, or under the control of Maya or illusion. Right now, we are all entangled. By chanting this transcendental vibration, we can cleanse away all misgivings within our hearts. All the problem is our mental concoctions and different type of thought processes we have manufactured. So when our thinking has set right, when the knowledge is properly revealed in our hearts, properly realized, then we come out of this wrong way of function. And we come to our original consciousness called Krishna consciousness. Right? So the basic principle of all such misgivings is a false consciousness that I am the Lord of all of servant. This we have discussed. Let us move forward. So now we'll try to understand right now what is the situation in our body. The body, what we have, which we call my body. What is the different way the body is set up? There's a nice statement in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains about the different protocols, the different hierarchical positions of different aspects in our body. Because our body simply is not the gross body, what you see. The gross body, there's a subtle body called mind, intelligence, and ego. And there's most fine aspect of the body called the soul. Soul is, because the existence of the soul, this body and the other aspects of the body are functioning. So what is this different types of body, different types of consciousness we're having, and how they're interrelated is what we have to understand before we move forward. The statement in Bhagavad Gita reads like this: Indriyani paranyahu indriyebhya param manah manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe varatastu saha. This is a statement in the 3rd chapter of Gita. Krishna mentions that the working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul is even higher than the intelligence. This is to make us understand how the different bodily parts, the different aspects of the body are situated. Our gross senses, what we see, our eyes, ears, nose. We have 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Therefore, so these senses are definitely superior to the dull matter around us. So I have a table in front of me. I have a computer in front of me. All they are dull matter. They will only function when you operate them. Just in that way, from the point of view of superiority, the senses are, or the gross senses what you have, are superior to dull matter. And above the senses, there is mind. It's subtle, sukshma. It's not to be seen grossly, but we can perceive the action of this mind. This mind is controlling the senses, because mind has the thought processing of thinking, feeling, and willing. And above the mind is the intelligence. Intelligence means the direction, the particular decision, discrimination, what to do is being exercised by intelligence. And above the intelligence is the ego, identity. And above the ego is the spirit. So this is what Krishna is mentioning in this particular sloka. So from this we can derive the following conclusions. That the basic consciousness which mostly people are living in is called sensual consciousness. The material concept of life, we are busy in the matter of sense gratification as if we were in the lower animal stage. If you analyze our life around us, what is happening? Mostly people are busy in gratifying their senses, sensations. Oh, it is very nice to see something very beautiful, very tasty to eat something, very nice to hear something. So people are trying to run around to gratify their senses. It's called sensual consciousness, which mostly even animals are going through this consciousness, are experiencing this way. So this is summarized in very simple words. Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithuna. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. This is how our whole life, if you analyze, is only centered around these four activities in different permutation combinations, different ways, improvements, and various ways. Right? Everybody is working in that direction. It's called sensual consciousness. Then the next level of consciousness, which a human being can also function, is called mental consciousness at the level of mind or emotional consciousness. A little elevated from this state of sense gratification, one is engaged in mental speculation for the purpose of getting out of the material clutches. It's like, if somebody is interested in some arts, music, fine arts, dance, or literature, like this is called, is coming out of this gross level of gratifying your senses to a next level called mental consciousness or emotional connections. You're sensitive with relations. You're looking forward for a good friend or a good family. That is called mental consciousness. Right? Then the next level of consciousness is the next stage is called intellectual consciousness. It is much elevated than the mental consciousness or speculative status, wherein one is intelligent enough to try to find out what is the cause for various aspects in life I'm going through. Why am I suffering like this? What is the solution for this? How to come out of this cycle of birth and death, old age, like this. These type of questions, you're trying to find out answers. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that out of many millions of men, hardly one is trying to achieve perfection. Perfection means how to come out of this struggle for existence. This is called intellectual consciousness. The sensual consciousness, mental consciousness, intellectual consciousness. And above all of them is what is known as spiritual consciousness, a spiritual platform. When one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stages of senses, mind, intelligence, is said to be on the transcendental plane or spiritual platform. This is what you're supposed to function from. From this platform, you're supposed to act. Because any other platform is entangling, either on the mental or sensual or intellectual plane, it is entangling. It's going to give you repeated birth and death. When you function on the spiritual platform, then it is liberating. It's exactly what Lord Krishna is recommending in Bhagavad Gita, to function from the spiritual platform. So following instructions of Bhagavad Gita is actually you're functioning from the spiritual platform or spiritual level, spiritual stratum. So basically, how to come to the spiritual platform is the next question, for which the answer is that the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is enacted from the spiritual platform, and the sound vibration surpasses all lower state of consciousness, namely sensual, mental, and intellectual. So when you chant Hare Krishna, the sound vibration is so powerful that it will transcend your consciousness immediately. It's like a lift. Otherwise, our mind is always mostly in the sensual consciousness. Now, once in a while, mental consciousness, rarely intellectual consciousness. So, recommendation in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavata, is that you have to transcend this lower state of consciousness, come to spiritual consciousness, which is going to liberate you. So, for this to happen, the easiest process is chanting Hare Krishna Mantra regularly, systematically. So, are there any qualifications to chant and hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Is the next question. So, for this, Prabhupada says very nicely, actually, chanting Hare Krishna mantra is automatic. It's from the spiritual platform, and anyone can take part in the chanting without any previous qualification. Not that I'm a very big businessman, I'm a rich man, I'm a beautiful man, this and that. No qualification, because it is your natural activity of the soul. Anyone can take part. Just that you have to decide, I want to chant Hare Krishna mantra. That's all. This was proved practically by Prabhupada. When he traveled across the globe, wherever he traveled, he just told people to chant Hare Krishna in the remotest parts of Africa, in countries like Southeast Asia, Philippines, Hong Kong. People are chanting Hare Krishna. Because as spirit souls, we have the natural energy, transcendental energy called the spiritual energy, which is actually to vibrate and vibrate holy name of Krishna. That is the whole science behind it. So it is automatic in the spiritual platform, and anybody can chant Hare Krishna mantra without any pre-qualification. And one more thing is that somebody may ask, oh, I have to understand what is mantra is. No, there is no need to understand the language of the mantra. There is no need to have any speculation also about what is this, what is that. No, nothing that you have to do some intellectual adjustment for chanting this mantra. It's like in some spiritual disciplines, you're supposed to prepare your mind in a proper, in a specific manner. You have to have a lot of background understanding, intellectually, apply those things, then practice some spiritual discipline. There's no such pre-qualification required. Because it is so simple, anybody can chant without any pre-qualification. Right? That is the speciality, that is the special significance of this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. And of course, when you are moving forward in a spiritual journey, in the advanced stage, one is supposed to follow some regulations of not committing certain offenses, because that will make you further, again, degrade yourself. So better that you avoid some offenses and move forward in the spiritual understanding. So, in fact, Prabhupada says, even a child can take part in chanting and dancing. Whereas, any other discipline, spiritual discipline, say yoga process or jnana process, a child cannot take part. But in this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, even a child, just maybe it is 1 year old, it can dance and chant. That is the special significance of chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And for one who is too entangled in material life, it may take little more time to come to the standard point. But even such a materially engrossed man is raised to the spiritual platform very quickly. Right? So initially it may look like, oh, I may not be able to chant, I'm having this bad habit, I'm not able to follow this. Doesn't matter. As soon as you take up the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra properly, immediately, the process is so powerful, potent, that it will purify you. So nicely it will purify you that you start becoming qualified to chant more and more. So there is no pre-qualification required. The process itself is so potent that it will qualify you to chant Hare Krishna more and more. It will purify you more and more. That is the special significance of this. And especially it is mentioned that when you hear this chanting of Hare Krishna from a pure devotee, who is completely free from all contamination of the material world, who is actually in close connection with Krishna, intimately connected with Krishna, the effect is very wonderful. It has great efficacy on hearers. It's like when Prabhupada went to America, the pure devotee, he started chanting Hare Krishna. This had powerful impact on the people who were hearing this. Because when a pure devotee chants, he vibrates Hare Krishna mantra. He's vibrating it from a spiritual platform. So this sound enters the ears of hearers and will go and start working wonders. It's mentioned like it is like injection. The injection is given, immediately the medicine is gone into the intravenous way, and then it is acting effectively. Likewise, when this Hare Krishna mantra enters to the ears of hearers, and this Hare Krishna is spoken or uttered by pure devotee, it will act miraculously on the hearer. So in that way, the recommendation is that we have to hear the chanting from the lips of a pure devotee so that the immediate effects can be achieved. Fortunately, we have the recordings of Srila Prabhupada who has chanted and left behind him this transcendental vibration of the holy name. Just hearing that is going to purify us. As far as possible, chanting from the lips of a non-devotee should be avoided. So it is strongly recommended that we don't hear from people who are professional singers or professional people who don't have any devotion. Just for the sake of livelihood, they do some bhajan or kirtan. No, we avoid. Because Hare Krishna can be chanted or it can be sankirtan, like it can be sung also, like a bhajan. So we should avoid hearing from non-devotees or professionals because their chanting is actually not purified. Even though Hare Krishna is pure, transcendental, but because it is uttered from a person who is not purified, it is recommended that we don't hear from such people. Why it is so? Reason is given that milk touched with the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. No doubt, milk is very, very wonderful food. It's having a lot of vitamins and proteins. But when it is touched with the lips of a serpent, when it becomes poisonous, the same milk can be harmful to you. So the Hare Krishna chanting, the transcendental chanting, will be effective when you hear from a pure devotee. It is heard from somebody who is not a devotee, the person will mix his other contaminated consciousness in it, and that is injected in you, so there is no purification. Just like the example is given, so many kathas happening, Bhagavat kathas everywhere. But because the reciter is not purified in his heart, there is no transformation of heart in the hearers. The hearers, they come, hear katha, go back, and again they do the same thing. Whereas when a pure devotee is chanting and is reciting the holy name and the Krishna katha, that will have a great impact on the hearers. It will transform their hearts. It will make them change their way of functioning. That is the point. Okay. So we should avoid hearing from professionals or non-devotees. So I have a few more slides, 3-4 slides, and after this we'll close. We'll try to understand what is the glories of chanting the Hare Krishna Mantra. Prabhupada says, just like you touch fire knowingly or unknowingly, it will burn. Similarly, if you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, knowingly or unknowingly, it will be effective on your life. When you are diseased, when you take the medicine, right medicine as recommended by a proper doctor, then the medicine, whether you know or don't know, it will act on you. Likewise, Hare Krishna Mantra is very potent. You personally chant Hare Krishna Mantra every day, whether you know how it will act or don't know how it will act, but it will act. That is the glory of the chanting of Hare Krishna Mantra. Right? So it will be effective in our life. So just we have to take up the process of chanting for revival of our own consciousness to original consciousness. The chanting for a while takes one immediately to the spiritual platform. And one shows the first symptom of this in the urge to dance along with the chanting of the mantra. This we have seen practically when we have sessions on chanting, and after that singing of the same Hare Krishna chanting, people immediately get up and dance because your spiritual awakening has begun. And something which is very ecstatic, what you do? You dance. You want to express yourself in terms of dance. Right? So this is what happens when you start chanting and when you are coming to the level of purification, these symptoms are visible. And the supreme pleasure energy of the Lord helps us to reach the Lord. This Hare Krishna mantra, actually, if you see, as Hare, Krishna and Rama. What does Hare mean? Hare means the energy of the Lord. And Krishna and Rama, basically as addressing the Lord themselves. Specifically, Rama means complete pleasure, complete enjoyment. So, Hare Krishna mantra is going to bestow you that complete happiness, complete pleasure, unending happiness to you. You can experience it when you start chanting Hare Krishna. The whole process can be experienced when you start yourself adopting the process. The supreme pleasure energy of the Lord helps you to reach the Lord. The chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and his energy to give protection to the conditioned soul. So this chanting basically is going to give you complete protection from this influence of material energy. That's why I told you, when you chant Hare Krishna Mantra, you're elevating yourself to Transcendental Consciousness. So it's a spiritual call. You're directly asking Lord, Hare Krishna means you're asking Krishna and his energy, please protect me from this material consciousness. Please engage me in your service. That is the meaning. So there is a direct intervention from the Lord to protect you from material contamination. So this is a direct appeal you are having to the Lord. Then, this chanting is exactly like the genuine cry of a child for its mother's presence. Our chanting mood should be like this. Right? When you're chanting in the mood that Krishna, please help me, protect me, I'm struggling in the material world. Please rescue me from this entanglement. And Krishna will definitely, surely help. And the mood should be like a genuine cry of a child for its mother's presence. Mother Hara helps the devotee achieve the Lord Father's grace. And the Lord reveals himself to the devotee who chants this mantra sincerely. One can perceive that by chanting this Mahamantra, or the great chanting of our deliverance, one can at once feel a transcendental ecstasy coming through from the spiritual stratum. It's a fact. So the taste of the pudding is in eating it. You start chanting, you will experience this. Just concluding now, Prabhupada says, simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become perfect in his life and go back home, back to God. This is the purpose of our life. Simply chant Hare Krishna every day. Have this much simple faith. Let me chant Hare Krishna mantra and perfect my life. Then, actually, it is strongly mentioned in all the scriptures. We'll see more of this when we move forward in the next sessions. There is no other means of spiritual realization as effective in this age of Kali. Kali Yuga means age of quarrel and hypocrisy. As the chanting of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the whole meaning of Hare Krishna mantra, the purpose of chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and the glories of chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So I will conclude here, and I'll open the forum for any questions, any comments, or any recommendations. You can ask anything. You can either type in the message chat box, or you can lift your hand and ask for the questions. So because we have been chanting Hare Krishna every day, most of us, it's important to know what we are chanting, why we are chanting, what is the benefit of chanting, and what is the way to chant. These are the things which we should know. Any questions or any comments? I'm not able to see any questions either in chat box. I think most of you are, looks like all of you are rather satisfied with the whole presentation. So we'll close the presentation now and continue our session next week again. Okay. I hope the host has given the enabled to unmute. Sometimes I get this question. Sometimes host is we're not unable to unmute. Okay, fine. Thank you, everybody. We'll meet next week again with a new topic. Hare Krishna.